Alright, here we go. I'm casting the second of the two Gold Division finals of Mid-ELO tourney, Mid-ELO Medieval tourney. This is Henrì versus Tdeep1 on Runestones, which is the designated first map of the tournament. They have quite a close spawn here. They've been drafting civs, so exclamation mark draft for the civ draft. Henrì, with the Lithuanians, loves the cavalry play. I've seen him go triple stables in the Castle Age for cavalry several times on open maps like Arabia, so we might expect something like that, although Lithuanians could do an instant rush as well. Doesn't seem to suit Henry's ideas this game. Tdeep1 with the Vikings. Vikings have lost Thumbring for the archers, but they're still a top tier economic civ with their instant wheel by one hand card upon reaching each next stage. And infantry got a buff as well, so the Vikings men-at-arms opening probably the strongest men-at-arms in the game now, since Vikings infantry gets 20% more hit points right off the bat when starting in the feudal age. So, could be that that's in Tdeep's planning, of course. It's a bit of a wide area to wall off here, so I guess you could open a rush as well, and you'll still, once you reach rush flush, rush into feudal age rush, for example, you'll still reach some extra, you still get some extra hit points reaching the next age when you go for the feudal age with the Vikings, and then you could of course upgrade them in arms as well if your rush is still intact. So we'll see what the plan for Tdeep is here. Hello, Ryder, with the sexual assaults. No wonder you get banned in streams, even if they're female streamers. It's a weird thing to say to random people on the internet, you know. However appreciated, it's a weird thing. But you can say almost what you want in my Twitch chat. Only compliment the homies. Fair enough. Fair enough, I'll take it. And what's this guy doing? Wait, was there a lame here? Nah, no lame. He's just chilling out, he wants to build houses. Women get more compliments for sure. It's not like they always want it either though. Four on wood, barracks going up, no mill. It's indeed going to be the pre-mill rush for Tdeep1 here, while Henrì not going for a barracks just yet, going for the mill, and there's only 2 on wood, but this is Lithuanians, so you'd probably be able to get by with only 2 on wood early with the Lithuanians, considering that. I mean, it depends on your play. I'll actually put more on wood, I think, with Lithuanians, because you start with extra food. People's streamers won't even see dirty messages since Norsen is always there to delete. True. Maybe I need to get Norsen in here. So, Henrì is out scouting, out and about to see the barracks any moment now, with the flags even, so he knows that the rush is coming. I'm not feeling well. Last time I checked, no, it's true. That's not to say I can't still make Norsen my mod, you know. Tdeep1 scouting the area is going to find Henry's location now. Finally got a bit unlucky there, going in the wrong direction, but it's 7 minutes in. It's gonna be just fine. It's making the 3rd militia. Did collect the 10 gold needed for that, and finds the gold, not moving too close to where Henry's town center is located. Henrì, expecting the rush now, of course, has seen the flag, is small walling off the crucial resources. And even tracks the rush moving over here. Takes some hits to the starting scout though, not ideal. Especially not if you want to go for the scout, which looks to be Henry's plan here. Small walls in place, but looks a bit good. Defense from Henrì here so far. He is going to keep the aggression out for now. Of course, that's some idle time in the food department for Lithuanians, but that doesn't hurt Lithuanians. If you have a look at the food count here, Henrì could spam scouts like there's no tomorrow with the food currently in the resource bank here. He did task a few more villagers to wood as well. And a bit late on the barracks, because maybe because of the small walls here, the 3 wood apiece, so that kind of delays any wood investment buildings. Taking the stragglers, taking the last pig as well, and now with the barracks up, he's going to drop. I guess he could adapt and drop a range now, but the scouts will nicely deal with the rush anyway. He's going to see the. He's going to drop the stable, yeah, to pump out some night scouts. If you have 3, preferably 4 scouts, you'll clean up these villages easily. So what's the difference between a horn, trombone, trumpet, flute, pipe and all that stuff? They are wind instruments shaped in different ways and play differently, and make different sounds in different keys and registers. I'm sure that cleared things up. Henrì, the starting scout, is low on HP, but he's chasing the follow-up here. He might or might not. He saw that there is no gold investment just yet, so he may expect a Drush fast castle off this, but it's only small walls from Tdeep1 here, so if Henrì moves back here and sees the villagers on gold, he's going to realize that the follow-up is going to be archers. Could have an ensemble of just horns, but it's not the most interesting thing in the world, even though it's a nice instrument. Henrì the range as well. He's Lithuanians. He has faster moving spearmen and skirmishers, I think, by default as a bonus. So that's going to prove a good defense against the Vikings' aggression here. Food and wood counts are just a couple of skirmishers to be added as well. If he wants to go offensively with the scouts after cleaning up the rush, he'll have skirmishers to accompany that, and skirmishers also deal bonus damage to spearmen or to the spearman line. So that's a way to clean up stuff like that. Tdeep scout is actually almost on full HP here, so that's why Henrì isn't engaging just yet. He's actually bringing his weak scout back home, but changing his mind around here. Men-at-Arms in for Tdeep1, and it makes sense because they are at almost full hit points. So it's going to be harder to focus them down, but with 4 soon to be 5 scouts, I think Henrì still can micro this down. Do Vikings counter Lithuanians? I wouldn't say so. Vikings are considered an infantry civilization, but since their infantry has more hit points and all that, but they don't get halberdier. So they, even though they have a unique technology boosting infantry attack against cavalry, it's not ideal to deal with cavalier and paladin masses from a cavalry civ, being the Vikings. Berserk chieftains is wild, yeah, but you need castles to get that. It's an enormous commitment, and if Henrì succeeds in doing some damage before Tdeep can get to that, then there's a good chance that the Lithuanians will come out victorious here. But we don't know that yet. They're fairly even in economy here. Of course, Tdeep has the wheelbarrow in. That's not the case for Henrì. No horse collar for Tdeep1, but that's quite common for the civilizations likely to go archers. You need the wood for your military units and the food for your upgrades. I like how Henrì relies on the walls here to keep the aggression out. Of course, it's a commitment to keep a villager working all the time, but to try and go for the counter-aggression is a good idea as well. Doesn't really succeed in doing any damage here other than force maybe some more small walls. But now with the scouts and skirmishers here, he'll clean up the aggression at home and be ready to move out again to focus out the spears with skirmishers and prevent quick balls also with range from the skirmishers. Extra armor for Lithuanian pikes is also good versus Vikings. Isn't that only for the skirmishers though? Yeah, the extra. Yeah, it could be pike too. That's not so relevant against Vikings, I think, but the skirmishers for sure with the unique technology for the Lithuanians help out a lot. Yeah, when Tars will be cleaned up, they didn't really get any great value with the Tdeep's upgrade here. Loses a couple of scouts, has the skirmishers intact here for Henrì. Their food and gold equals are virtually alike here, but Henrì has both buildings to go up to the next stage here, so he's going to click the castle age in not too long. Very likely beating the Vikings to it now with one range archers from Tdeep1 here, so as to be able to click to the castle age faster than if it done two ranges. Now Henrì on the offensive succeeds in forcing a tower on the goal. That's good value for Henrì, even if he didn't get any builders or anything. That's good value, because that's a stone investment delaying any further Vikings town centers. Yeah, stage on the way as anticipated for Henrì. Is going up a tiny bit earlier here and did invest into a few scouts, but these extra scouts with that Lithuanian starting food, it's almost similar to a common 4 scouts investment for a generic save. Second range going up for Tdeep1 here, also going castle age, but yeah, 40 seconds behind here, maybe not too big of a deal. He has the archers intact, he has fletching in and getting horse collar on the way up here. And also a good chunk of spearmen to become pikes for the earlier upgrades. So builder difference has to be wheelbarrow, yeah, because they have idle towns at the time, which is almost dead similar here. Also, at the point they click castle age also makes a difference in the builder numbers. So once they both are in the castle age, that should be roughly, if they both keep consistent production, that should be a roughly 3 villagers difference between the two. Those skirmishers, they counter both archers and spears. This is good news for Henrì, but it doesn't really have the numbers to engage, though. He doesn't have any upgrades on the skirmishers either. He will, of course, be prioritizing cavalry upgrades here, like Bloodlands and the second defense facing archers' aggression. Monastery as well, because Lithuanians need to snag their relics sooner rather than later. It's going to give them a +1 attack boost up until 4 relics for the knights and lightis. The relics, however, spawn closer to Tdeep1 than to Henrì here, so but 3 of those are going to be fairly easily obtainable for Henrì. He finds a saddle overdrop. I think if he found an overdrop on the woodline, he will be losing the scout, but idling some economy there, not killing any villagers just yet. Overdrop indeed. And just sacrificing these last skirms, buying some time here for the cavalry follow-up. I don't mind that, even and he might even focus down some spears here or crossbows. It's all good. He didn't commit to upgrades to the skirmishers, but still has the range to invest into them again if he needs to. He's now going to cover the relic in the middle and start collecting the first one, which is why I don't really need to update. Get these attack upgrades as early with Lithuanians. +1 attack and 1 relic, though. That's going to give +2 attack total for the cavalry, which makes it easier to fight archers up close. Blue should make more archer numbers rather than pikes. Yeah, if he gets the full walls up, he should definitely commit mainly to archers or crossbows, because then he can just use that range to defend from behind. And he had 7 pikes, which is not bad at all. Not an overcommitment. I used them to hold off the initial scouts as well. and now moving forward for the counter-aggression. Henrì, however, triple stable production here, and 12 knights total now with a +2 defense. That's almost matching the number of crossbows as Tdeep1 gets the first kill. Let's have a look at the Viking Pike, actually. He has... what? He has 66 hit points with that +20%? That's crazy. That's like slightly more than half the HP of a Bloodlands Knight. Wow, tanky. No upgrades though. Sometimes you'll want to get defense for if you're investing considerably into the pikes, but currently Henrì should be able to take this fight. He needs to focus on the pikemen first though. So, focusing on the pikes, triple stable production currently ongoing here, 16 on gold, 15 on food, which means that TC will go idle a little bit here if everything is going to be produced. And the crossbows getting value here. Quite a few of the knights were weakened in the fight against the pikemen, but Henrì still cleans up most of the archers here as Tdeep1 flexes the micro skills and tries to make the most of the armies before they go down. Look at Henrì just moving back and forth there to dodge the shots. Tdeep1 floating lots of food and gold here. I'm not sure what that's the idea here. Probably plan to commit to the crossbows. No defensive monastery either to get some small conversions in, but another TC, which is always good to have a point of hiding, point of refuge for the villagers as they get raided. Henrì splitting up the forces, and he has +1 and 1 relic here, so he has the equivalent of +2 attack. I kinda feel like the Scorpion, I guess the Scorpions are here to deny quick walls, but if you cover this gold as well with the Scorpions, you deny Tdeep1 of gold until he gets this TC up. This is still great aggression from Henrì though, and he succeeds in getting the first few villager kills here through the raids. Blue stopped producing and it's got lots of resources here. I'm not sure if Tdeep's plan is working to as planned here. He's gotten into the pike upgrade. He did so at the start of the castle age. He's floating lots of resources, but he doesn't have a market to adjust that. If he had a market now, he could buy wood and he could pump out pikes from several barracks here, but he's barely going to afford it as long as he doesn't have a means to ensure wood income. So Henrì did a good job at denying woodland here. He's about to deny the second one as well, and that's going to put a stopper to any crossbow and pikeman production of mass here. Great aggression from Henrì with the Lithuanians here, and also with a 50 to 36 villagers lead here. Of course, if Tdeep1 survives this, he doesn't be with 2 town centers to recover against the 1 TC push here. That's the thing of 1 TC all-ins. If the opponent survives them, they'll be able to overwhelm you with stronger and war units with their economy advantage. But right now, Tdeep1 is at a huge economy disadvantage here, so and facing huge pressure, almost not able to stop it with the pikeman defense here running into Scorpion's fire, and the knights could focus them down as well, especially now with 2 relics, a total of +3 melee attack for the knights. No market. There's no wood for a market for Tdeep1 here, so with a market, would be able to make use of this goal, but the eco balance is just too off. Henrì dominates in the first game here with the Lithuanian scouts into knights. GG. 77-28 keep. That's a good start for Henrì. And the slight eco lead as well, even over Vikings. That is an accomplishment. 9-16 fuel age. And finally, we're gonna go to the 8 PM here, and let's go to the draft and cross out the civs in question here and have a look at what the follow-up for the next map will be. It will be Tdeep1's home map, and the maps are Ghost Lake and Nomad. Tdeep1 was also in my Nomad tournament last year, a 2v2 tournament. So, but I think you'll save that for a second, maybe. It remains to be seen, of course. So let's find the next game here. We'll just watch the timers. Second game on Ghost Lake, indeed. Italians, Franks, so no Britons, no Tatars. Maybe they got banned, did they? Khmer Mayans got banned, so no Tatars, Pigs, no Britons. But yeah, might still be good. We'll see. Let's just dive right into it. So Henrì the Franks, he keeps going with the cavalry civs here. Seems to enjoy the cavalry play and these more open-ish maps. However, Ghost Lake is rather easily closed. Usually, this one looks quite open for Henrì, but he could still wall in towards the TC and sort of secure the berries. On Tdeep1's side, it's also very open in the front, but at least you secure these sides easily with some small walls and walling in towards the edges. So I'm sure they'll find some way to wall off and defend their resources here. Tdeep1 with the Italians. So, in a sense, a good response to the or counter to the Franks here, because Italians, if they get some castles up and get their Genoese crossbowmen out, they'll easily deal with Franks cavalry, except for the lack of mobility, that is. And I guess Genoese crossbowmen to some extent should be able to deal with the Franks throwing axemen unique unit as well, because they are a crossbow unit with more range, while the throwing axeman is dealing ranged melee damage. I think they're splitting the sheep share kind of in two here. They both went more straight towards the middle, as you should do in Ghost Lake, to snag some of the sheep along the lake here. For some reason, there's lots of frozen sheep on the frozen Ghost Lake. It's called Ghost Lake because it's icy and white, I guess, like a ghost. You can't build on this terrain, so on Ghost Lake it's all about the rest of the map, the area, and somehow both of them are missing this patch of sheep. So Franks probably going to open scouts. The Italians could as well with their cheaper uptimes to each age, 15% discount, but Italians are more of an archers-oriented civ on land maps, and especially good on naval maps, but this is of course not a naval map unless you want to. Now you can't even dock these small ponds in the middle because has to be shoreline next to them. Horse dropping some food there to keep production going, while Henrì is in the process of luring the first board. He's still not finding them! It's not like the last place is finally gonna find them. Tell me you're gonna find them. Oh, come on! Oh, these sheep really don't want to be slaughtered today. They're hiding places perfect, and they're white on this icy terrain there, so you can't blame them. Actually, they look like polar bears more than sheep in this pixelated zoom. So they are, yeah, they're live to see another day. As Henrì tries to scout if there's a rush coming this time around as well. Tdeep1 keeps the scout close. Who gets the first hit? That's a very even fight, and they're gonna trade blows here. But I think. This is as even as he can get. Tdeep should actually consider running towards TC. Brings in a villager, will get the last poke. Yeah, Henry's gonna lose the scout here. Okay. Nice. Just a tiny bit too late there, and they cancel out each other's scouts. That was a very close fight, and I'm glad they're just having a laugh about it. Across the barracks, the post-mill barracks this time around, but I guess that is going to turn into men-at-arms because Tdeep1 now at gold here. I like the men-at-arms idea. The berries are forward for Henrì, so we're easily going to push the Franks player off the much needed food for scouts. And woodland also close to the area, but also its front side here is an easy wall off for Henrì to keep the aggression out. However, he can't scout the men-at-arms now because he hasn't seen the barracks at all. He has to do the guess games here and assume from the uptime of Tdeep1 what the plan actually is here. Of course, Henrì is going up at 20 pop here, or 19 rather, missing the scout. So he'll be able to scout again once they are up. Here comes the barracks. That's going to complete nicely in time for Feudal Age, and Henrì will have his 54 hit points ranked scouts to deal with the incoming men-at-arms. Feudal Age, here comes the stables, and Henrì brings in some more sheep as well. Yeah, someone missed these as well. I mean, it doesn't matter when you pick up the sheep from the middle, and that kind of compensates for lacking a few, but he's going to run into a pleasant surprise once he creates his first scout and pops it out here. The soon-to-become men-at-arms are moving in as well, but now the walls are dangerously close to being completed on this side, and Tdeep1, it's Ghost Lake, so it's, the opponent is usually going to be straight over on the other side, but... oh, he finds the sheep as well. But gets a bit lucky here to run straight into the buildings. Sees the straggler tree as well, so he's not going to move too close to there with the infantry units. Just in case Henrì garrisons and tries to take HP off the villagers. Good dodge there. I think he can still attack the unfinished palisade and break through. And even so, that's 3 men-at-arms, forcing 4 villagers to work on this gate, so I'd say that's value for Tdeep1 currently, forcing a huge reaction. Henrì might be able to trap Tdeep here, but nah, not gonna get the gate in over here. I guess Henrì could have placed the gate foundation there and actually trapped the men-at-arms, but yeah, who cares. Uh-oh, TC fire. Henrì! Henrì! Garrison! There we go. Shaves off a little bit of HP from that men-at-arm. That's crucial, very important for Henrì now, because now he has 3 scouts. He's not able to make the 4th one due to the commitment to defending against the men-at-arms here, and probably settles for 3 as well until he knows he can enter the other side, but these 3 scouts, they won't be able to... oh, there's an opening close to TC actually. That means you could run in here with the scouts. You'll take some shots from the TC, but if you see it and move straight to the left here, I think Henrì... does he see it's open? Yeah, he's gonna take it. He's gonna risk some damage to the scouts. A lot of damage to the scouts, actually. But he's inside Tdeep space, and the goal of the scouts isn't necessarily to kill villagers, it's to idle the enemy economy and force a reaction, as they are both doing to each other currently, and Henrì, with the forward aggression, may not be able to drop this house in time. Oh, that's clutch timing right there. He gets the house foundation up, and I think it's... arguably, okay, maybe it's a good call on Tdeep1. I guess the unfinished house, if you attack it, it already has negative armor, so the men-at-arms do damage. First spearman is out for Tdeep1 here, and again, they're not... neither player is losing builders here, they're defending off the early aggression very nicely, as Tdeep1 on home map here is moving out some archers to deal with enemy economy. 3 very weak scouts here. They wouldn't be able to kill villagers even if they wanted to, but Henrì can at least track the progress here, see that there's 1 range, not 2, and maybe snipe by a farm if he gets lucky as well. Nope, not really. Will the breakthrough here? There's Arcus to deny. Quick balls behind here. Henry's farming eco looks sharp here. The Frank's upgrades kicking instantly as well. Yeah, the house is down. Archers now with bit fletching is in as well. And I think Tdeep1 will be able to get some builder kills here. Send the event arms in front so that they can focus some of the fire from the skirmishers. This is not a huge mass of armies, but again, I'd be surprised to see... Yeah, there we go. One villager down. Good micro forward here from Tdeep1 now. Did deal with Henry's scouts forward as well, but Henry, again, very likely to beat Tdeep1 to the next age here. It's more food in the bank, both buildings required. Well, they're in for both, actually. Difference this game, though, for Tdeep1 is that, as opposed to the previous Maybe game, Italians have a discount going up to the next age, so they're not going to require quite as much food and gold to click to the castle age with the Italians. For the time being, Tdeep1 is playing similarly to the previous game with one range archers, though, to not delay the castle age progression too much. And his arm's still alive. Blacksmith going down for Henry. Actually didn't... What was the range, of course, the second building. So now the blacksmith to get the cavalry upgrades, but first the castle age click. Lots of wood in the bank for Henry now, but he's gonna need that additional wood for the skirmishers as well. If he wants to commit further to these skirms, which I think makes sense here. First priority should be to get to the castle age though. And there's wood enough for 2 more stables if that's desired here for Henry as well. He's been defending admirably here on this Ghost Lake map, walling quite compactly, but also, I was going to say, able to get a head start to the castle age, but that's marginal. It's just a few seconds, 7 seconds apart between the two players, and Tdeep1 is the aggressor here now. Like this walling effort here as well. You could always extend the walls to the edge here so that you have a broader woodline to collect. Are we gonna see? Yeah, second range is up for Tdeep1. Probably won't drop a third one, but could do that to boost Archer's production even further. And spending less resources going up to the castle age also indirectly makes it cheaper for Italians to get to the upgrades like crossbow and bodkin arrow. So army lead for Tdeep1 here, 16-7, but Henry probably has a couple extra stables, a second stable at least out here, is pumping out the knights. He's not prioritizing +2 defense this time around, so the food eco may be a little bit too fragile, or is he just going for numbers over upgrades? Here he's got a very small window of opportunity here to focus down some archers before the crossbow upgrade, but the clock is ticking. 2 knights, that's probably not enough to justify diving on these archers, even though you could take out quite a few of them before the crossbow upgrade. He's waiting for the +2. I think that's a good call to get that armor before engaging. How many crossbows now? 11 crossbows and counting for Tdeep1. 11 crossbows, maybe 5 or 6 knights is a good place to start. Elite skirmishers in as well. No, Frank skirmishers, they're not ideal by any means. They are lacking both the Imperial Age upgrades, so they're not. Of course, they're fine in Castle Age, but beyond the Castle Age, they're not really viable in the same sense. Let's see the nice numbers here. It's increasing. However, Tdeep1 has a choke point between Henry's upgrades. Oh, chasing the mountain skirmishers. Nice for that. That's a clutch move from Henrì here. He's chasing the crossbows out with skirmishers, and now there's no choke point for Tdeep1 to hide in. He's going to lose the crossbow mass yet again to Henry's cavalry forces here. So just like that, Henry cleans up a lot of crossbows. Tdeep1 the castle, that's an important one for the Italians at this point, because if you are able to get to the Genoese crossbowmen here, then Henry's cavalry will struggle, assuming Tdeep1 is able to mass them. But now Henry really needs to move out. He could, it's too late to deny the castle now, I think. That's gonna go up. He should run away, he should dodge. I don't think he can dive this. 8 December, can he? Can he? Nope, he can't. And he also can't really sit right underneath the castle here because of the town center providing cover fire as well. We'll see how Henry reacts to this. He could of course try to tear down this castle with battering rams in the castle age, but I think he'll aim for a smoother castle age. And Franks have cheaper castles as well. Imperial age, I mean. Franks have cheaper castles as well, so DC now on the stone. Good call for Henry. Could get a couple of defensive castles up and push back later on. But the clock is ticking now. The castle is up, which means that Tdeep1 is making the Genoese crossbowmen. Yes, Henry has the elite skirmishers, but again, in the Imperial Age, they are falling behind to the Italians getting Bracer and that last Imperial Age armor for ranged units. Couple more TCs, so Henry extending the economy here, playing it differently from the first Arabia game where he's committed to 1 town center. Now it's going to be 3 town centers, something that Tdeep1 already has, and he has a massive builder's lead actually. He's been producing at a lower idle TC rate than Henry, but with more villagers total as Henry breaks through, and he will even out the villager difference if these raids keep up. There's a mix of monks, Genoese crossbowmen, and regular crossbowmen here, but they are out of position. However, once they catch up, Henry will very likely lose a lot of his cavalry here. So I think it's worth it still for the eco trades here, but most of these knights could be going down. Is he actually going to be able to escape here? That's a good play by Henry then, if he keeps the armies alive. Henry's nice on the positive side here, 38-16. Well played. Of course, some weekend knights. Weekend. Is there a monster here? No monks for Henry, otherwise he could collect relics and heal up his units. Elite skirms, of course, he has been investing into more skirmishers here because he knows Genoese crossbowmen are now on the menu. Oh, careful. Don't engage. Those are Genoese. And Tdeep1 tries to get conversions here. Will actually not succeed in getting them. Let's have a look if the knights have. They don't have husbandry. If they haven't had husbandry, they would have 1.48 movement speed, I think. And a massive Mangadan shot for Tdeep1 there to eliminate the skirmishers as well. War ranges going up for Henry here, which means he's going to double up on the skirmishers. Good call. He'll have the skirmishers in front to try and deal with the Genoese while doubling on cavalry behind. He seems to have retasked some gold miners to other resources as well, because he's floating quite a bit of gold, even though he only has 5 builders on gold. He'll need more on wood and food to justify the skirmishers production here. And of course, he needs extra Rangers to replenish after losing a huge massive Skirden Visitor to a Mangonel shot and some Castle Fire here as well. Again, he's playing the mobility here. I think Henrì is doing a good job at the counter aggression here. He doesn't really see this TC to the side, but it's also not walled, so he's looking for a place to enter here. If you get lucky, he might see this second castle go up on the hill over here as well. And in any real case, he's going to be able to get some good raid aggression in here if he just doesn't linger here and dives straight in. Yeah. He's seen the beginning of Stonewall, so he knows he'll need to go in before that happens. Which means that Tdeep1 will need to pull his armies back home. He has the Genoese over here, and he might trap Henry's armies here. Oh, Henrì, run! Run! Oh, this is really bad news for the Knights if Henrì stays here. They're just gonna shred the Knights here. Ballistics is in. Akkal-AOE is in. All you need to snipe units. But here's the mobility of the cavalry again. Still lacking that husbandry upgrade, but they are running away from the Genoese again. Weakness of the Genoese, of course, that they don't have the speed to catch up with cavalry, and if they did, they would be blatantly OP, of course, as a counter unit. Will it dive here? Bad fight for Henrì here. He's losing lots of the cavalry to the Genoese crossbowmen. They have 4+2 range, so of course with ballistics in, they'll hit moving targets more easily and deal with those knights at a distance. Henrì going into boom mode here, TC number 4 to the side, which will potentially delay the Imperial Age, but I think he's going to kick up any moment now. He has the monastery, he has the university, and there's the Imperial Age click. Well behind Tdeep1 though. Tdeep1 with the cheaper Imperial Age going to get access to elite Genoese crossbowmen here if he wants to. Probably not going to get it. Crossbows could become arbalest. The Knights dive in here, elite skirmishers, but they are not chasing the Genoese here. Maybe Henrì still wants larger numbers before engaging. Imperial Age isn't going to get the elite skirmishers or anything, but they are also lacking Akkal-AOE, and here it comes. Probably why he didn't engage, he was lacking crucial upgrades. Now, Knights numbers diminishing rapidly for Henrì here. He's struggling to deal with the Italians at this point because Genoese crossbowmen, they produce rather quickly, and Tdeep1 now has a mass of 39 of them and Imperial Age kicking in. So Italian death ball growing larger and larger here. There's the university, so Tdeep1 could get a get chemistry and get bombard cannons out here as well. Immediate chemistry there, that's going to boost the archers' attack as well. Or the Genoese crossbowmen in this case. Defensive castle for Henrì, but at what cost? It's going to be a lot of builders going down, building that castle. Elite skirmishers chasing the Genoese. Tdeep1 obviously can't afford to lose those. Will need a counter unit to the Genoese crossbowmen eventually here. Villager lead though 100 to 86 here as Henrì scrambles a defensive castle, but with Imperial Age in and trebs out for Tdeep1. 2 trebs in fact. The Franks defensive castles aren't really going to do too much here. Thirty-six Genoese crossbowmen and counting. Elite upgrade, usually not viable, it doesn't really give too much, but 2 traps here, they could be sniped by Henry's cavalry actually, so that would be great value from Tdeep1, but the Tdeep1 move closer again. Aero in the making here, that's actually not a bad option against the elite skirmishers here. I was thinking light cab hussar for Tdeep1 here, but the area will do fine as well. They don't have any upgrades, but they still have pretty much equivalent stats to the champion as the base stats, but now the Genoese going down. Needlessly here, I'd say. Bracer, only 1 armor on them. But enter the Condotieros, 10 attack. Cavaliers for Henrì, but he's still falling victim to the Genoese crossbow and masses here will need to hold like a champ to survive this. Of course, he's committing the Cavaliers mainly to sniping the Trebs, and that is working out as well. Treb makes it barely at... how much HP here? 7 HP. Will Tdeep1 consider repairs here? Probably not, because even the skirmishers could snipe the Treb at this point. The army situation is of concern for Henrì here, though. Yeah, he did catch up on the boom with 4 TCs, but here comes the 4th one for Tdeep1 as well. 40 villagers more, 32 army to 60, and twice the military for Tdeep1, 50 population lead. And Genoese, even a small group like 10, 12 Genoese, 2-shotting a Cavalier there. And then that's even with full defense upgrades. Down goes the Treb, so Henry's defensive castle lives to see another day. The Genoese crossbow and masses, they are diminishing here. It's 14 of them now, but for every Cavalier Henrì loses, it's also taking a drain on the gold income. Long term, this could be an issue, but they're both, or actually Tdeep1 is doing a multiple gold combination of units here, so he's trying to capitalize on that army advantage. 33 military to 1, 30 more villagers as well. Did not yet go to the sides, is actually outposting the right hand side here to see if Henrì has some sneak movement, or to monitor if Henrì ever goes to expand to this side. So something I've been seeing people do on Ghost Lake multiple times. So Genoese numbers increasing again, area as well, and full defense is in, arguably the most important when fighting against skirmishers, and they will never get better upgrades than they currently do. I guess the area are slaying both villagers and skirmishers here, and Henrì is left with a low military number against the Italians push now, mixing in bombard cannons as well. Here comes the Cavalier, could get the bombard cannon and a Treb though, but again, Genoese doing great work here against the cavalry investments of the orange player. Some lag issues. It's could be some issues finding the suitable server here between them. Defensive castle is officially down, and Henrì will be losing one of the 4 town centers as well. To the left-hand side, Tdeep1 is also rushing up some outposts here to confirm that Henrì hasn't really expanded very far out. Cavaliers going down again, another defensive castle trying to go up here. Henrì wants to stabilize and turtle this out, but he has been at an eco disadvantage for a long time now. We might be seeing Tdeep1 getting the home map here. Because Henrì hasn't been counter-pushing for a long while. He's lost fewer units, yes, but he's also running out of gold gradually here, and might even lose access to safe gold forward here. Good job using the Cavalier to deal with the condottieri. They are an infantry unit, so the cavalry investment should help push that away. Oh. Oh. What mischief are you guys up to? Just hanging around? Tdeep1 has the stables over here, so it's going to go into light cab and get some raids in. Italians get Hussar as well, but that upgrade is a bit far away eco-wise. However, Tdeep1 has the stone forward castle. Probably going to place it here or on the other side. It's an option as well. Or deny this gold can be an option. Don't think any more defensive castles are necessary for Tdeep1. And the first few light cab stop this somewhat ambitious castle of Henrì from going up as well. 65% castle, more light cab pumping out here. Unless Henrì flexes some serious quick wall skills, I don't think this castle goes up this time around. Here comes the cavalry, the cavalier to protect the last few villagers. I guess it goes up, so all in all, guess we have to consider this a good castle by Henrì because it stops the rush potential from the forward stables on this side. But what about home base though? Henrì 13 on stone now. Not even going to commit to repairs on this one. That's going to go down. And Akkal-AOE yet again raiding away here with cover fire from the forward units. One villager forward castle for Tdeep1. That is... it's a weak villager. Not too sure about that. They're even planning to mining camp the same gold. Oh, this is actually out of sight for Henrì until the camp goes up. I think when the camp goes up, you get some vision. You see that castle in production. War builders coming though, so unless Henrì sends the cavalry over ASAP to deal with this, and he only has 13 of them, then his gold miners are going to be quite short-lived on this side. Trying for a bit of counter raids now. This castle stops most of the production to this side. And the Genoese crossbowmen numbers are still arguably kind of low. Castle to try and stop this tower to try and stop this castle from going up, but there are too many villagers here from Tdeep1. This neutral gold is being claimed by Tdeep1 with the side castle here, even if he's losing some villagers in the process to Henrì's villager fighting. There it goes. Garrison, hop in. Or let them die, of course. Also an option. There we go. So Henrì's main gold has been contested for a while, but he's back in control over that one. The side gold is as good as depleted. There's 600 left here. I guess he still has gold access. Mainly skirmishers in the making though. So this combination is growing stronger for Tdeep1. Still no Hussar, so that's... but you can see the food economy here really suggesting that Tdeep1 wants to play the Italians Hussars here to trade lots of stables going up as well. And Genoese crossbowmen and Hussar being the combination here. I guess Hussars in front, Genoese behind, so that Henrì can't use his own cavalry to deal with stuff. And Hussar certainly counter skirmishes as well. He just kicked in. The last armor for the Hussar is missing as well, though. So they're missing some core upgrades here. Left side, one Treb pushing here the villagers on gold. He's gonna try and fight the Treb with villagers. That's funny. That's not gonna work. Even a knight for a Tdeep1 here, but I think that might have been a misclick. Hussars running in here to deal with the skirmishers, mainly. The Genoese crossbowmen come as well as Henrì pumps out a mix of light cav and cavalier here. He does have better upgrades on the cavalry. Overall, the Genoese, they are at risk of dying to the elite skirmishes here, and the forward cast goes down as well. Henrì could TC this area now and secure some side golds here. He's been holding like a champ here, and this also keeps after raids actually focusing small groups of Genoese over here, as Tdeep1 takes some gold to the side at home after losing the forward one here. And lacking that last armor on the Hussars actually hurts even against mass skirmishers here. They will, I think, or do the skirms still deal 1 damage per hit? Nope, they deal more per volley, I think. The eco situation has evened out as well, but I think Tdeep1 has a healthier balance for the plan at work here. It's 69 builders on food now. It's going to be all about the Hussars and conserve the gold for later, maybe to mix in some trebs and bombard cannons again to deal with enemy buildings here. Hello, thank you for money. Good luck, have fun casting. Thank you, thank you. We're in the second game of a best of 5 here. Hussar numbers increasing, lots of stables producing here, 6 stables currently, but there are more stables at work total as far as I can tell. Franks, for balance reasons, obviously don't get Hussar, so Tdeep1 actually has the better unit in that regard for the late game trash raids. Franks trash in terms of skirmishes as well, not much to compete with the Italians here, lacking the Imperial Age upgrades. Tdeep1 is just going to flood the military here now and keep obstructing Henry's economy here. Henry very wood and food heavy here, of course, with the skirmishers investment mainly here. I wouldn't say Henry is struggling for gold, but he is going to run out in not too long here, looking at the gold piles and the raids making it real awkward to keep economy running as well. Eco KD twice and counting for Tdeep1 here. Hussar flood increasing, and that's not going to stop anytime soon unless Henry is able to obstruct Tdeep's food economy at home here. So they're both with compact bases with thesis all around, but Tdeep1 spreading out the Hussars here, rendering the food eco when Henry at somewhat useless in terms of efficiency, and takes the first home map. We're going to go to Henry's home map next, which is Acropolis and Land Madness, so we will probably be seeing some more cavalry here. Scouts fight, both losing their scouts here, so no military stats to talk about in the late Dark Age. Tdeep1 very late to that last armor upgrade. Feel like maybe you get that one before Hussar, but they may have just forgotten about it in the heat of the moment there. Did have lots of good options to deal with the Franks, especially in the late game as Italians. Better economy overall, more food, of course, with the massive farms investment for Hussars, and beating Henry to the Imperial Age as well, which was crucial to get down that first defensive castle inside Henry's home base on the main gold. Alright, so let's mark the next ones here. We had Italians beating the Franks. What are we going to see for Land Madness? Probably Huns, maybe. Nomads, that's Spanish for Henry, I'd be pretty sure. Chinese also not half bad for Land Madness because we start with the berry bush right next to the TC. Persians could also be an offensive, and Spanish for one of these other ones. But for Henry, we're going to Acropolis, where, okay, I guess that's Huns then. Acropolis with Huns. And Magyars maybe for Tdeep1. But let's have a look at the next game. Which is this one. Teutons Chinese on that. What's with people in Teutons on Land Madness? They're slow. Be right back, just gonna open a window. Here we see the reason for Henry's Chinese pick here. Chinese struggle for having 0 food to start a game, so you have to get loot instantly. But Chinese, picking the berries or the forage bush here, are able to compensate a little bit for that lack of food through gathering the berries. That makes pathing awkward, unfortunately, but it's still going to cause less idle time total for Chinese. I'll be right back, I just need to open the window. Man, Ladness. Ladness. Says those. Twisting the names. Oh, these woodlands are... Imagine if this terrain wasn't unbuildable, then Henry would have an amazing wall here, but you can't build on this great terrain, so good luck with that. Chinese starting with 3 extra villagers, which means that Henry is at a... Yeah, 2 villagers lead still, 2.5. With, yeah, that's equivalent of 1 villager production, so... and Henry has Loom, of course, first thing you get with Chinese. Meaning that Tdeep1 will be on the back foot to the Chinese economy and or uptimes. If Henry is able to keep this idleness time at as low as it currently is. Chinese, any technology upgrades, they are become cheaper throughout the game, so it's easier for Chinese to afford the eco upgrades once to go to the next stage. Their farms also grant more food as their team bonus. So you could justify Dark Age farms, or more Dark Age farms with Chinese than with other civilizations. They're obviously pushing in the deer here for added food boost. There's only 1 boar on Land Madness, as Tdeep1 goes back to check a black spot here where the last 2 sheep are. We on wood for Tdeep1, suggesting the scouts opening 2 currently for Henry, but... And he seems to be going to the berries next. Is he really going to be happy with 2 on wood and then add more to wood later? Of course, Chinese are lacking food early on, so that could be a reason. Yeah, here we go. He goes to the lumber camp. There's 30 wood missing for a mill here, though. So that might be a bit off for Henry here. So the builder will path back to the TC before he gets to build the mill, but no big deal there, of course. He's still going to get the food and build the mill as soon as it is convenient. A little bit of idle villager time here, but not idle TC. He still has the food here. It goes for that bush close to the TC and the deer, and conserves the sheep for eating once the pathing issue of the forage bush has been evaded. Still 3 on wood, and Teutons have 40% cheaper farms as well, so it's easier for Teutons to get away with fewer villagers on wood, even for a scouts opening, where 3 is the most common. Scouting the enemy side now, where Henry is still pushing in the deer here. That could actually be obstructed if Tdeep1 scout is on point here. Could deny a little bit of deer luring, not that it's really worth it. Oh, dangerously close to TT now. Dangerously close, he might... Oh, good reaction. Good reaction. After taking that hit from TC though, Henry is with the upper hand in terms of scouts hit points. Maybe he wants to take the fight. If they're both planning the scouts, though, might not be the best idea to take the fight, as Tdeep1 is hunting for a hill as well, and Henry will say just no, thank you, I'm not gonna fight you uphill. Oh, but it does. Oh, that's still the hill bonus for the Tdeep1, I think. They're on equal ground, but maybe not. Well, there's more hills to take here. I think Tdeep1 wins this fight if he's on point here with the Scout Micro. Yeah, he gets it. Oh, unfortunate for Henry there, especially if Scouts is indeed the plan here. Their uptimes will be similar, but Henry will have 1 villager more due to the Chinese bonus, so that's already an eco boost. You can see it in the general resources as well. Imagine having more villagers working from the very get-go. You should be floating, or having more resources to spend by default when that's the case. Second lumber camp going up here. Chinese have access to camels in the castle age if the Teutons player is going for knights. But Teutons get +1 melee armor in the castle and another one in the Imperial Age as well, so camels don't necessarily work as well. Add to that Teutons have conversion resistance as well, meaning that monk defense is subpar against the Teutons. Tdeep just checking to confirm there aren't any small walls or some shenanigans here, and finding the place to hit. Is probably going to go for the food economy first here once the stable completes and Tdeep1 can get some scouts production going. Oh, small walls around the economy, of course, expecting the scouts here with these kinds of uptimes. Let's just have a quick look at the actual uptime here. Was 943, 945, virtually identical, but Henrì with the extra population and keeping that population lead, villager population that is. It actually says 27 to 25, which makes sense that 2 villagers lead because Henrì has the equivalent of 1 idle villager. Could be that Tdeep1 went up without Loom here actually, because I saw only 1 villager not too long ago. Spearman defense for Tdeep1 here, of course, expecting the scouts, and in the castle age, Spearman will also benefit from that extra melee armor, so shouldn't be too afraid to invest into some additional spears in the feudal age as Teutons, because you could always justify the upgrade later. Not to mention that you save wood from cheaper farms, so it's easier to afford more spears. Henrì on the move didn't succeed in finding Tdeep1's base yet. Is going to find the first few walls now and look for damage potential. Whoop! The Spearman gets a free hit there for Tdeep1. Tdeep1 going to gold could be for an early bloodlines for the scouts, could also be for a smooth castle age transition here. 16 on food, didn't invest into any scouts at all, only spear defense. So spear defense into a faster castle here maybe for Tdeep1. He has his starting scout forward as well. It's very low HP, but it keeps gathering intel on the expansion of Henrì with the Chinese here, who still keeps that villager lead through comparable idle decent times here, and the fact that Chinese get 3 extra starting villagers. I assume the eco upgrades are in for both of them as well, and it is indeed. They're both getting wheelbarrow. The timings are so similar here, but it makes sense as well because wheelbarrow compensates. Wheelbarrow is most important for the farms, so it makes your farms more efficient. So that it explains the feudal age wheelbarrow here as well. Yeah, I think Chinese are good on this map. But I got Chinese random on Lad Madness not too long ago, and I took the berries, but the berries are too slow. So still, you get some delay to the builder production even with Loom, I think. And good morning indeed. Thanks for joining in, Henrì. Must be early for you. Like, I don't remember if it's 10 or 12 hours difference or what it is. It's currently 9 PM here, yeah. Okay, 9 to 7. I see, I see. Well, I know that feeling. I'm up late every night. Usually can't sleep. Okay, so Tdeep1 never really made any scouts here. Did make the stable, and since his starting scout was low, He's still got that one to scout. He's forcing more spears here, Defiant. In terms of idle, you should only have 5, 10, 6. Yeah, true. Because the berries are tiny bit slow, but then you grab the sheep maybe and collect it faster and force drop, and yeah. Should be possible to have it slightly lower than was the case here. It's still good though. If you can keep the 25, you're still 2 villagers ahead. And opponent at 0 idle TC zone. And in this case, Tdeep1 has some idle TC time as well. Castlage on the way for both. Again, uptimes so similar. It's very fun to see when it's so evenly matched between the two of them. It's see some cavalry upgrades coming for Tdeep here as well, so it could be both knights and spearmen in the making here. Remember that Teuton's melee armor bonus as well. Tdeep seems to be floating a bit of wood here, which tends to happen with the Teutons when you have the normal amount of villagers, but that's not to say you can't make use of it. You could TC this area to cover some gold, for example, and I don't think we're going to be able to TC any woodlands yet, but we're getting close on this side. Teuton's eco looks slightly healthier. I didn't see how much Henrì actually invested into the scouts, probably not too much. Double stables, making knights, having the head start of the castle age here, and with 12 on gold, that's just the perfect amount of gold miners and farms to keep 2 stables consistently producing, while also maintaining the town center producing. So Tdeep is playing this defensively. It's been more on the aggressive side the previous matches with the Russian men-at-arms opening, now more into pike defense, which should play very nicely into what Henrì is doing, expecting the cavalry from the Teutons here, mixing in camels with the initial knights, and will only be running into a huge chunk of spearmen that already have +2 melee armor. There's still the issue of mobility though. I mean, Teutons won't necessarily even want to make play cavalry on this map because, or against other civilizations with husbandry, because their cavalry will really never ever catch up. Committing the pikemen, all of them, forward now, seems risky. Henrì will have to react somehow, maybe with range or skirmishers or something. It's not so easy. With the heals and everything, it's not so easy to small wall, quick wall the aggression out either, but he pulls the villagers away from the gold, has a town center going up on the gold on the south side of the base as well, so shouldn't be losing any villagers here just yet, while also making use of the fact that Tdeep1 has all of the counter units forward, tries to deal damage to Tdeep's home economy instead. It was so long. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Been like weeks, maybe a month since this final completed, but I didn't really have time until now to get to the casting, so. And the finals have been good, I have to say, on all the divisions. It's not like it's been a 3-0 sweep. In most of them it's been 4 or 5 games, so that's fun to see. Only remembered games after this one. That could be a spoiler. Should be a conversion there for the Teutons player. Yep, gets the camel. I like how Tdeep1 chooses to convert the camel and not the knights as well. Pike's doing good damage on the opponent's side here because the worker efficiency is very low for Henrì. 3rd TC going up on stone. Was sure this wasn't going to be even because I had to reverse sweep 3 to 1 semi and he did his 3-0, okay. But in the semi-final... Yeah, okay, yeah. Tdeep1's teammate was also in the final, but that was the other gold division, I think. I mean, the pike numbers are scary, and Henrì doesn't currently have any means to deal with them. Chinese do get arbalest though, so that would be an option to add some archers and upgrade into crossbow and eventually arbalest here. And, well, that's also a way to diminish pikes, and this doesn't look too pretty for the Knights and Camels of Henrì. It's going to lose most of the army mats here while taking out a small group of pikes. That is not the best trade I've ever seen from cavalry versus pike defense, and even some monks here to shake up that fight even more. Good defense from Tdeep1 here. Still pushing up the pikes, is in one woodland now, will be getting the first few villager kills as well. I think +1/+1 on the pikes. Decent enough, blocking escape, and gets the first villager kill for the blue player here. Last two cavalry go down as well. Henrì now left with 5 knights. And what's the plan here now? He has 3 town centers, so the economy has matched that of Tdeep1 here, but it did lose lots of gold-heavy units there in the cavalry investment. Will need a plan B here now, and Teuton's Kryptonite is really the ranged units, I'd say, the crossbow arbalest line, until they can get to their mighty siege weapons, that is. So even if it's costly, I don't think it's too far off to go for an arbalest switch here. Siege, defense, scorpions, I guess. And the pointy boys are pointing away indeed. Didn't get a stable there, but Henrì is probably not going to make much use of that anyway with all of these pikemen on the field. Pledging for Tdeep1 here is... What's that going into for the Teutons? I mean, maybe he wants to go crenellation castles or something? These guys have been doing work. They're chasing up economy again, idling Henrì's economy a bit. They will of course die to TC fire because they're extra melee armor, not extra pierce armor like the Malians' counterpart. Now there should be some siege and monks to go with the Pokebox. Yeah. Pike siege seems justified here. And the pikes are already on the menu, on the field. But Tdeep1 is just one big boomer here, securing another gold here with the TC securing a stone over here. Claiming more map control. This could still be a long game because they're not really diminishing the eco numbers of each other here. Yes, they're idling eco, and Tdeep1 has been doing that more than Henrì has done to him, but it's mainly just trash defense and a few monks here for Tdeep1. Looks dangerously close to the Imperial Age here though. If both the buildings are required and they aren't, we'll need a university or a siege workshop here as well to click that Imperial Age. Siege workshop, no production. University for Henrì. Yeah, so some scorpions against the pikeman infantry investment, of course. Hey, Teutons are an infantry sib, so why should we be playing cavalry anyway? They're classified as an infantry sib last time I checked. Infantry and monk, maybe? There's, yeah, I don't remember the classification. Lots of blue on the map. I think Tdeep1 is expanding better, but their scores are pretty similar as well. And the eco situation also comparable here. Looks like Tdeep1 gets a good head start to the Imperial Age here, even lacking that second building for a little while here. The siege workshop goes up, and now the stables. Maybe we'll see some Imperial Age Teutons scouts raids here. That looks to me like a forward castle with pikeman support. Well, one castle each. But Tdeep1 with the head start to Impier will maybe be able to contest the Trebors fairly easily over here. Bloodlines, chain binding armor. No more camels or knights on the field for Henry, so the knights addition into Cavalier now makes sense for Tdeep1. Has more TCs, but equivalent number of builders here. Currently massive military lead, but that's mainly pikes and some monks here. And not queuing a trap right away. Does he even have a market? Does have a market, so could tweak the economy here to get the first trap out as well. Of course, Tdeep1 can't know that Henry is also on the way to the Imperial Age here, so or quite close, so that's probably why he isn't stressing the traps. Chukonu for Henry. Perfect choice against the mass of pikemen here, and shouldn't be half bad against cavalry either. Huh. So in my head I was just thinking, they are only pikes, what can he do? I should be way ahead in builds. Yeah. Cavalier is in for Tdeep1 here. The Trebuchet coming out as well. Yeah, Pike's early cast stage is a huge food investment. But look at the TCs though, it's how many now? 7 TCs to 4 for Tdeep1 here, so Teuton's boom definitely higher. No murder holds for Henry. Might actually have to consider it. It's actually going into Halberdier as well now to try and deal with Teuton's masses, but upgrades lacking big time here, numbers lacking as well. I think that the help change is not going to mass up in time here for Henry. He will lose that one defensive castle on this side, still has one over here, but is facing 53 build with only 2 of his own. You're an arena player, then why would you pick Land Madness as home map, my friend? Down it goes. I saw he banned Arena though. Tdeep1 banned Arena because he probably knows that Henry is an Arena clown or has been checking the tournament history. So we picked this as a home map because you're weird. $63 military to 9 here. This should be domination for Tdeep1 at this point, and Henry will need to bring it back on Acropolis. Out of Arena and very open maps. Okay. Well, they certainly play out differently. You can do tight builds on Arabia as well. Just go 17 pop Mongol straight archers or Khmer 15 pop scouts, and you have it going. But yeah, Siege Monk is fun, I agree on that. Still no Halberdier for Tdeep1, but he's massing ridiculous masses of Cavalier, and Henry doesn't really have the helps numbers needed to poke them down. He's getting the upgrades, he's getting the mass, but it's still twice the extra plus 2 melee armor Cavalier for Tdeep1 here. And of course Siege dealing with the production buildings. There we have it. Tdeep1 gets too strong for Land Madness and gets a second game here. Only needs one more game now to close it out and take the win. But let's have a look at the stats before we go to Henry's second home map, which is Acropolis. Max identical here. So, Henry with the Chinese takes it down. to the Teutons, winning the push. And the next one, I expect to see Hans Magyars, but prepare to be surprised if that's not the case for Acropolis, Henry's second home map. Indians works as well against Huns, of course. Indians Huns. Oh, it's one of those spawns. So Acropolis, more often than not, you'd have two Acropolises on either side of the map for each other, but this one's really close. So Russian and Arms Aggression or even straight archers could actually work out here if the players notice early enough that they are real close to each other. It makes laming a lot easier as well if you want to snag one of the boars. It's a much closer distance than usual to pick up the enemy boar. So Henry with the Huns here will never need to buy houses or build houses as he starts at 200 population cap. Quite useful bonus to have if you want to spam RB and be real aggressive. And suits Acropolis nicely. Tdeep1 with the Indians has cheaper villagers. That's at 5, 10, 15, 20% going through the ages. So Indians have a great boom as the game gets going further on. And it's a tiny Dark Age eco bonus to have 5% cheaper villagers as well. Nothing too noticeable though in the Dark Age. Both civilizations likely to go for a Scouts opening. Huns, however, fewer immediate options, lacking starting with 100 less wood to start. So if you can't really go for a fast pre-build rush with Huns because you won't have wood enough for the barracks. Real wood here for Tdeep1, first indication that this might be a Scouts build order, while Henry will drop the first lumber camp out in the field here for prolonged efficiency. You see both variants. I mean, this would still be a justified lumber camp to have it a little more on the safe side. The middle field much more exposed, but you could also small wall it in here. I'm running the stream on my secondary screen or side laptop, Henry, and I don't have a black screen here at least. Maybe a refresh and see if it helps. Could be a Twitch thing as well. So, scouting for the enemy location now. Henry sees that there's no grey terrain here at the edge of the map, so he realizes that it has to be over here. Oof, internet dying. Never nice. Ooh, Tdeep1 though. It sees the Acropolis is here. They're so close. I don't know why he's even going in this direction. He must have seen this. Why is he scouting over here now? I mean, seriously. This is not so easy to spot on the minimap though, so it could be just a mistake not seeing that small sliver of grey over here. Could backfire though, since Henry already knows Tdeep1's location. They'll probably have comparable weapons here. I guess Indians could pull off one population less to the feudal age, but they always have the option of pushing deer as well and anything to boost the early food income. Actually, they haven't been doing that a lot. Nice deer placement for Tdeep1 here, right next to the berries, while Henry actually needs to push them. Agropolis. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's gotta know by now that, okay, he's not here, he has to be here now. Second lumber camp in the back for Tdeep1 as well, is it? Or is just gonna long distance drop this? Ooh. Oh, that is very inefficient. But at least it's safe. It's very easily quick wall as well. That could be the idea behind that. Fuel Ledge all the way for both of them. Tdeep1 actually 19 pop to 20 pop here. So obviously lower idle TC time and 1 population less. Tdeep1 gets a solid head start to Fuel Ledge. I don't understand why everyone else takes wood on top. There's wood enough to last you through Fuel Age and until the cast age, so if you wanna try and camp it on Acropolis, you can usually get away with it, because yes, it's not going to last you for very long, but it lasts you through Feudal and cast ages. I usually go the first one on top and the second one in the middle field as well. It's a distance to travel to get the lumber camp built, so it's closer. You get to head start the wood income. Henrì converts the scouts opening, but so does the uptime, obviously, of Tdeep1. No big surprises there. Tdeep actually doesn't have this woodland scouted. Maybe that's where he's going now, to try and figure out where Henrì is indeed taking wood. Maybe he already knows as well, having not found any lumber camps on top of the hill here. Yeah, if you want to stay one lumber camp for a while, then the middle is certainly the play. Ooh, little hill advantage for the Tdeep scout here, as another one joining in as well, but the spearman is out for Henrì and should chase them off here. Gets quite a bit of hit points on the scout and thanks DE for that lovely pathing as well, and down goes the scout. Evening out any advantage Tdeep1 would have with that earlier uptime here. Punishment, yes. Tdeep1 warding off here in towards the TC, so any aggression coming from the left hand side, they will have to loop around to deal some proper damage here. Henrì with 3 scouts to 2, now it's about to be 3 for Tdeep1 as well. Hunts, 20% faster working stables. So it's easier to... Even if Henrì was 20 pop up here, he's actually able to keep up with the scouts numbers now because of the faster working stables and the fact that he did take out one of Tdeep's early scouts here. Wood situation, that's where Henrì should be going, I think, because that's very inefficient for Tdeep at this point. If you cripple that, then no wood to produce anything whatsoever. And currently I'd kinda say that Henrì has the map control, at least he's more on the aggressive side, while Tdeep1 keeps the scouts defensively. Oh, spearman defense, committing to the villager kill, nice, pulling them away. And Tdeep might get one more sneak hit here, but we'll just be chasing and run into defensive spears again as Henrì pulls the armies back. And Henrì doesn't like to make additional lumber camps, but here it is, of course, after having used the first one for a prolonged period of time. So he just has very consistent wood income now, and it's hard to deny both unless you invest into... Oh, is he going to make a tower actually? Or is that just a misplaced villager? I mean, like a one builder tower on the woodland somewhere could sometimes be a worthwhile investment. You could use the tower to deny one and then the scouts' spears to try and cripple the other one. I like Henrì's playstyle here. He plays it completely open on top of the Acropolis. Plays it aggressively like Hans should. Has the scouts' numbers advantage here. Of course, that's a toll on the food economy. So... that will delay the castle age, but if you have the army advantage like Henrì does here, that doesn't necessarily matter so much. Tdeep1 still only has this one lumber camp, and they have to walk 5-6 tiles for each drop off. It's so slow, and with Henrì's scouts out, you can't just run out to the middle area either. You used to do all the couples where you weren't supposed to be able to full wall. Yeah, I hate that as well. I hate that people found a way to full wall. It's not exactly the most efficient wall ever though, and you're going to look at some shitty woodlines when it's like this. And here some archers, some skirmishers, or one tower here, it denies. Actually, a tower here would even deny the woodline, I think. We don't see towers a lot these days because they are shit and weak. They can be torn down by villagers in a matter of seconds. But it's still an option if you're able to wall in the tower. Don't know why they changed that. Because some people on the dev team really love arena and walls and closed maps. I know that because I played arena with some of them. Not gonna shout out any names though, but it's the truth. Is that an opening? Oh. Lovely wood income for Tdeep1 here with the long distance lumbercap. Now dropping the stable, going to make some camels maybe. Castle Age uptime is going to be 1-ish minute ahead for Tdeep1 here. I guess he's expecting the Knight's follow-up after Henry's opening scouts here, but it's triple archery ranges for Henry here because Hunt's cow archers, they are cheaper. 20% cheaper, was it? Something like that. And we have two woodlines to easily bring in wood. Just trying to make his gold inefficient here. Ah! Well, it's re-walling with two villagers, so it helps out a bit. So it's going to be one stable camels here from Tdeep1, unless Tdeep1 wants to go for the cow archers as well, but the wood situation doesn't really allow for that. And they're walking like 10, 15, 20 tiles here to bring in the wood. Come on! Well, for the scouts here, what's the upgrades like? +1 for Tdeep1, so the scouts Tdeep1 are better, but Henrì still has the numbers. And he is taking out the camel with scouts. Good job. Castle Age is in. Lots of food in for Henrì, so you'd think he would follow up with knights, but he is indeed following up with the cavalry archers. 3 ranges producing. Expecting camels, has the spearman here, could even justify the pikeman upgrade, but it's only 4 spears, so probably not. And if you're able to mass a decent chunk of cavalry archers, even that extra +1 pierce armor that the Indians get for all of their cavalry units, or both of their cavalry units, the cavalry archers mass could hit and run and make life awkward for them. You see double stables production of camels here on Tdeep1, still expecting the cavalry follow-up, I think. Bloodlines should be delayed, pikes are the meat. Depends on how confident you are in your micro. I'd take tankier units over numbers almost any day. So Indians, camels have bonus attack against buildings. That's why Tdeep1 almost breaks through here at a quick rate. Also has a little bit of help from the hill. Definitely the blue player being the aggressor now, but will not succeed in breaking on this woodland. Could try for the other one, but the pikes are out, the cow archers are out, they will have the hill. Yeah, Cavalry play on Acropolis is really strong because you could always pull back towards the hill close to home base for some damage boost, and of course the camels have to back off. They don't have the numbers or the interest in engaging against cavalry archers uphill. Who would? Army situation well ahead for Henrì here. Triple ranges consistently producing the cav archers, while Tdeep1's production has come to a bit of a halt here to get the upgrades instead. And TC on the woodland, so he's secured some wood at the middle side here. Camels closing in though. This is bad news for Henrì's cav archers unless he can run away here. Let's see the speed difference here. Movement speed is faster for the camels, so they'll catch up with the cav archers, or should be able to. Lumbering or ballistics on war pikes are way more worth it, even delaying until imp works with the meat here. You're probably right, but again it depends on your micro skills. Ballistics would certainly help out a lot against the camels here now though, so do we have a university yet? Not really. We're going for numbers over upgrades. 3 TCs for both players, so they're playing the boom game again here, and Tdeep1 has succeeded to secure some wood finally, so bad news for Henrì not being able to deny that very early inefficient wood access. Taking the pikes again, reacting here, Scorpions, they actually deal nicely with both cav archers and pikes, so that's a good addition by Tdeep here. Cav archers will have to focus the Scorpions before engaging against the camels, unless the pikes can get some hits in here, but it's only 6 pikes. Looks like a decent fight for Henrì though. Getting that last little poke there. Here comes the university, so we'll be getting thumbering and ballistics soon. Crucial upgrades for cavalry archers. But Bloodlines and Bodkin Arrow are in, so they're not bad either. They have the hit points boost, they have husbandry for the movement speeds, and now going to have increased accuracy and firing speed with thumbering, and even more increased accuracy against moving targets with ballistics. So if you ever get to a big blob of cav archers, that is hard to stop regardless of unit combination. He dead. And here comes the raids from Henrì to hit the woodline maybe? Should be able to get some snipes here. Especially with ballistics right around the corner here. Doesn't... yeah, I got one I think. 5 villagers killed by Henrì. Villager count dead even here. Henrì it's slightly higher... count. Casting all day today. I usually cast on my streams. But not sure what I'm doing after this one. Some camels going down to TC fire here as Henrì tries to scramble up some more barracks for pike defense. Another TC. Yeah, the Tdeep1 is really wasting camels here. I'm not... that's... shows why camels aren't really the greatest raiding unit. They don't have pierce armor to compete with TC fire. That's a lot of camels down for Tdeep1 here. Down to 9 camels now, while Henrì has 23 cavalry archers. I'll trade bills for camels in this situation anyway. Didn't trade nearly well enough though. But looks with 77, 73. I'm assuming these ranges are for skirmishers. They are indeed, and even the cavalry in the queue could be a misclick. Queuing them in only one group so could be a bit stressed out here. That's what you mean. Yeah, okay. So you getting more kills than him while it was happening. Yeah, you were raiding the other woodland probably or something. 34 cavalries and counting. Henrì keeps more consistent production here. He's going to run into elite skirms now, but with the cavalries you could also use the mobility and abuse the fact that skirmishers have minimum range. 10 camels to 3 times as many cavalries here, and sniping small groups of skirms before they can intercept them here. I'm beginning to like Henrì's position here. It's a massive army domination going on here, and only 4 villagers behind. So, good job at keeping the army numbers consistent here. I don't know why these guys are shaking, but let's hope they're not stuck. TC number 4 for Tdeep1 here. That's a good call to defend more of the woodland and get more gold access over here. No relics collected, even though Tdeep1 invested into some monk here somewhere. What Henrì could do as well is split the cavalries into smaller groups, but he's probably hesitant to do so because of the camels on the field and the skirmishers, but you could split them into like 3 small groups and raid a lot of places at the same time, forcing the opponent to react and maybe overextend because of it. But yeah, diminishing the camel lovers here. Tdeep1 almost seems to have abandoned the camel idea at this point. Indians have great cavalry as well, but of course you can't contest with a Huns player with 50 cavalry archers total. Ooh, so eco situation is similar, but military situation not so much. We have 50 more total population for Henrì here through the sheer army numbers, and doing a good job. So now sending small groups to raid several sites at once. This guy's just scouting, I think, just getting some idea of the map, some outposts to look for the neutral resources. Funnily enough, it's a couple of tiles away here, so Henrì will want to find another gold source, I think. Does he have the back of the base scouted? Not really, either. Yeah, he's gonna find them. Finds the TC spot over here for the gold. Really taking control of this game here. 0 gold minus, yeah. No place to take gold. Could sell some wood, though, if you have a market. Forward siege workshop here. I think that's mainly for scorpions against the skirms. Pikemen seem to be dealing with the elite skirmishers here as well. And more TCs going up, and we found the gold to this side as well. I mean, with the eco situation is still this stable, Henrì has been losing quite a few cavalries to the elite skirms now. Will want... Does have the food eco for light cav here, so cavalry hussar, that has to be the late game goal for the Huns here. Damage has been done, of course, if you look at the raids here, but with 4 town centers to replenish villagers for Tdeep1, Tdeep1 is still in a decent spot here. 1 ram popping out now to take out these ranges, but they could always be replenished if the wood income is consistent enough here. No more cavalry production. Must be the gold situation for Henrì earlier on, I think, to stop that production for a while. What's going on here? All the cavalry are going down. What? Henrì, what are you doing? What are you doing? Henrì is down to 10 military, but Tdeep1 at least doesn't have anything crazy either. Only 21 military for Tdeep1, mainly skirmishers. But that was a lot of cavalry archers going down to the skirmishers and camels of Tdeep1 here. 5 archery ranges, so that should replenish the cav archers decently here. The wood and gold income seems consistent enough to refuel the numbers, and that was me being too overconfident as just that guy Henrì, aka Henrì here. No upgrades on the light cab, but it's on the way now. 1 scale barding armor coming in. The camels should be dealing with those though. Defensive castle on the hill, allowing for maybe targets as well if you want to go into some mobile siege or something that the skirmishers can't kill however much they want to. Light cam numbers increasing, cavalry archers out of 6 ranges here, and also 127 villagers to 106, so Henrì arguably in a better spot to replenish lost armies here. He did kill 34 villagers to only 8 of the Tdeep1 here. Caval numbers increasing again. They are both players still here in the castle edge. This is going to be an extended castle edge game for sure. Camels catching up with the cav archers again. No choke point to be taken. But Henrì getting the numbers back online now, has the light cav as meat shield rather than the spearmen, so has double mobility here against the army masses of Tdeep1. Ooh, castle on the hill for Tdeep1, 2 ramps to push that, they probably won't succeed. And now Henrì is floating quite a bit of resources here, never needs to build houses, so that's an advantage in terms of replenishing army and keeping the production going all the time. Can actually go light cab pike. True. Trying to get some raids in here now. Tdeep1 with another TC on the gold here. What's the gold situation actually? Is it going to run out here? Nah, there's some gold in the back. There's another one over here as well that at least Henrì... Yeah, they both have that scouted. Maybe this is going to evolve into a late game trash war. It looks like neither player wants to give in here, although Henrì keeps a little lead in terms of total population here. More military, but that's mainly trash. He's trying to hide in the corner but won't find an escape here, so the camels will be cleaning out that light cab. But there, that's a lot of camel commitment as well on the edge of the map there to clean up some trash. More siege workshops. Hunts get siege ram if they ever get to the Imperial Age here, so that together with Huds could maybe cause trouble for the Indians. Still a while away though, unless Henrì is actually pop capped here and getting some more upgrades for the cavalry, but we'll eventually be able to click Imperial Age here. I think with Tdeep1 is getting dangerously close to that as well. We'll have access to a heavy camel and bracer for the elite skirmishers, and I even made a cavalry archer here for reasons unknown. So Cab Archer Bass is back on the menu here for the two Cab Archers. Some light cab here and there just causing uncomfortableness in the overall map. They're both dropping outposts to get some more vision of the map, but Henrì sees basically all of the map at this point. We'll tell if Tdeep1 extends the presence on the map. Yeah, okay, no Imperial Age after all for either player. They just need to commit armies and keep going here. As some of the ranges will be going down, I can't tell if Tdeep1 actually has them replenished, so that's going to cripple the elite skirm production here. Big time. He has some hard Cab-Archers, yeah, indeed. Ooh, massive round numbers. Henrì still 21 on gold, more on gold than Tdeep1, who just went Imperial Age, but what's that Imperial Age gonna get if you lose the units along the way? This might be a bad bad call by Tdeep1 here. Losing the camels will of course get access to Hussar if Eco allows, but the overall resources are being drained and idled a lot here for Tdeep1. I'm not sure if that Imperial Age is going to give enough of an advantage at this point. Look at the Rams flood here, full on Castle Age from Henrì, admittedly floating a lot of wood here, but keeps the push going. Another castle going up here to deny this gold, and we'll try to tear down the castle on top here for Tdeep1, but easier said than done with how many Rams pushing us. 7 Rams. 59 military to 20, and Henrì fighting at pop cap here. He is actually going Imperial Age as well, I missed that. So 2 minutes later to the Imperial Age, but with much more army going into that and committing a lot of builders to deny gold on this side. Now even long distance taking this one, so good thing he had it scouted so the builders could chase that. There's the Imperial Age, and the castle will go straight down. Light cab. Only 3 on gold for Tdeep1, so not gonna get to Hussar or Heavy Camel here. No, can't really afford any imp upgrades, and only 25 military here, so still fighting Castle Age masses with Imperial Age in, but no means to upgrade here. Henrì is losing a little bit of population, getting handcart to boost the economy income. Lots of food income here to start spamming light cab or even Hussar as the Imperial Age kicks in here. And Tdeep1 producing light cab, and that's about it. Not really getting any counter raids in here. Henrì has 2 castles on the hill to protect the farming economy as well. And yeah, this back area, that's really lucky though to have both gold, stone, and a woodline in the back. Only gold for Tdeep1 unless he already mined the stone, I'm not sure. Sometimes that happens with Acropolis. And Imperial Age is in, Hussar is almost affordable. And Tdeep1 taps out, calls the GG. We are going to a game 5. Which leaves us with Nomad as the decider map and Tdeep1. So, home map. Yeah, good set. Agreed. What a beautiful mess. Yeah, my kind of games. Messy games. I like those. Okay, decided game. I'm assuming Spanish Malians, perhaps? Persian Malians could be as well. It remains to be seen as we pull up the last game. Spanish Malians, okay. Conquistadors versus Gepetos and Farimba Cavalry. Nomad it is, Tdeep1's home map. Did play in my Nomad 2v2 tournament last year, so definitely a seasoned Nomad player. They put up a good fight there, although not sure. Don't actually remember who won. I should know about my own tournaments. Anyway, TC goes up, and since since Henrì is passing next to here, it's probably seen those freaking treaty lines that outline the TC, so Henrì will know that this is Tdeep's one location. Free scouting. Dock going up to the side here, couple of deep fish close to it, but it's far distance to travel. It's not ideal, but you will get that dock up quite soon anyway to get the fish starting. Pretty OP indeed. Henrì is Spanish, so the fact that he gets to construct in TC a bit later shouldn't matter that much. We could actually compare here, the two. Should be a slight head start for Tdeep1 with the Malians here, and he already has the first fishing ship in production as well. But the actual start to villager production isn't going to be anything too significant here. Half a villager lead for Tdeep1 maybe. Yeah, this is like... Could actually count the seconds here. It's going to be like less than 10 seconds, I think. There we go. So both TCs up. They dock at opposite sides, and but Tdeep1 is closer to the corner here, so it makes more sense for Tdeep1 to win water. And this is actually, even if it's in a ditch here, this is an amazing dock because of all the deep fish within range here. Of course, he docked here because of the shorefish, but if it walked even a little bit further, there'd be good options over here. So again, this is a good dock. Let's just fast forward a little bit because Dark Age Nomad tends to be rather uneventful. I'm gonna pay a little look at the scouting here as they find rhinos around their bases. They're kind of close, so they're kind of competing for the same resources. Maybe this boar as well, but Tdeep1 brings it in, and Henrì will may or may... Yeah, he's gonna take this one actually. It's a long lure, but with lube that shouldn't be an issue. So fuel H about to hit for Tdeep1. Not surprising that Malians are up first here. They get a head start to the food economy with their earlier fishing ships. 7 fish out for Tdeep1. Could just be a fast castle here, but judging from the fuel H, I think Tdeep1 might want to challenge water. Didn't actually scout Henrì's side, but is there some blue over here? No, it's not. Maybe it's just a straight fast castle or straight-ish fast castle. No, it's not. It's actually a range here because of the close proximity between the player starting thesis here. So, no naval investment at all for Tdeep1 here with that fuel H advantage. That's a bit surprising, but I guess he assumed or acknowledged that the distance is rather far, so it might not be worth the early naval investment even with a much faster fuel H. Henrì, of course, wants to get to Castle Age and the Conquistadors. 3 on gold, 2 on stone. Blacksmith Market up here, and then just tweak the economy if needed, and get to a castle on those Conquistadors, which can be so annoying on Nomad. Fuel Age aggression might be a good call to stop that from happening. First few archers out with fletching here for Tdeep1 and pulling Henrì off gold. 31 gold short of the cast stage upgrade, and now off the stone as well. 2 archers setting the Spanish back quite a bit here because Henrì didn't actually go Blacksmith Market either because he doesn't have a mill, so he can't build a market. Oof. Yeah. Oh, that's messing with the plans. Unfortunate start indeed with the close and good scouting or good luck from Tdeep1. And the fact that you get denied off both gold and stone and you want to probably go fast cast with the Conquistadors and realize you don't have the mill needed for a market, then it just stops everything. Henrì can't do anything here, getting the most important resources denied at this point. So that's a quick last game. Tdeep1, congratulations on winning the Mid-ELO medieval tournament. You had persons in the draft indeed, Henry, because we had Huns winning against Indians and now Malians against the Spanish. Malians Persians, that's a Nomad classic, so that's a way to end it. We can have a quick look at the stats here, but there's nothing too crazy or interesting to see here. Pledging about the only upgrades coming in here. And then finally the APM charge. GG's.